It's Friday, July 14th, 2023, and this is the Talk Film Society podcast. I am your host, Marcelo Pico, editor-in-chief of Talk Film Society, yet again here with my co-host on this show. It's Siobhan Irving. Hello, Siobhan.
Well, what's up, Marcelo? I'm the co-host of this show.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Not of the TFS podcast in general, just of this series, right?
Well, let's get
this
into
mini-series.
it. Let's get into it. So if you don't know who we are, we hosted some shows on the network.
We have a long storied history of hosting shows together, Marcelo and I. What do we got? We've got...
Yeah, let's go back.
We had the old wrestling show, right? It was called Marking the Marks. It sucked. We have currently a Southland Tales show that is taking so much time and we're currently on hiatus from. We host monthly movie commentaries on the Patreon. Give us $1 freaking dollar and you can listen to even more of us talk.
Yeah,
right?
For hours at a time. Yeah.
About a single movie, maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
we're watching a movie. We might talk about the movie, too.
Just last month, we did a commentary for Temple of Doom, and I think half of that was focused on the movie. Most important thing is we did this Talk Film Society podcast series last year, or earlier this year, covering the Oscar season.
The Oscars.
Yes, we did.
Oscars, Hollywood's biggest night.
We did that.
Who's going to win Best Writing this year?
Well, I mean, as always, we stand in solidarity with the writer's strike and also the impending actor strike. It's Wednesday, July 12th.
Right? That was sick as hell.
Yeah, the Emmys were just announced, and today the actors might strike too. So we'll see what happens. But we did that. So we did the Oscars series, and now we're here yet again to do a series on, let's say it together, blockbusters.
Summer blockbusters.
Summer blockbusters. Yeah, that's more apt. Summer blockbusters. I mean, really, it's just us talking again on mic on a weekly show. Just so, we have things to do. And so
we're on hiatus from the Southland Tales show, and we're like, we got to still talk, right?
Yeah, we got to talk about something. I got that itch, I got to release a weekly podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is... I kind of wanted us to do something like this anyway. So why not just make this series be about summer blockbusters? So as a jumping off point to other topics and movie related things, I do like that weekly show aspect. I did like that we had the Have a Nice Pod Clip Southland Tales show be weekly in regards to like the segments, the intros we recorded each week. Anyway, I like that type of podcast. Why not do it again with Siobhan? So here we are. Okay, summer blockbusters. Let's get into it. Do you like them?
Do I like the summer blockbuster? Oh, geez, that's tough. You know what? I think I do. Now, this comes with the caveat that it's weird. The last 10 years of summer blockbusters have been dominated by one franchise, right?
Yeah.
10 plus years. And
I think going on 15 years now.
Yeah, 15. And that's all well and good, I think, honestly. I mostly enjoy... Look, I mostly enjoyed that time.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm sick of it. Yeah. At this point, I'm sick of it. But,
by the way, the MCU. We're talking about the Marvel movies.
The Marvels. The
Marvels.
I had a good time going to those movies. I went to them regularly. I went to every single one in a theater from Iron Man until... I missed Civil War. But, I really stopped going, around Spider-Man 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And at this point, I really don't care to go to any of them.
Yeah. I'm glad you bring that up. I did not... for this intro of the series, me asking a very general question to Siobhan saying, do you like summer blockbusters? I didn't expect to open up this Pandora box so early on in this show. What I kind of want.
That's what I got to do.
Oh yeah, you are an instigator, is what you are.
Mm-hmm.
I in trying to come up with an idea of what this series is, I kind of want to do this, and hear me out, listeners, and also Siobhan, which I mean, mostly to you because we're still trying to plan what this show is.
I mean, I'm the one that's here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to people in the future. How crazy is that? I'm talking
That's
to
weird.
we talk here to each other now,
and this is now.
We're in the present.
Yeah,
and then in the future, like in 3 days or so, I'm going to put this out, and at least like 2 other people are going to listen to this. That's wild.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Summer blockbusters.
Like, that's so nuts. Anyway.
We know what we're talking about this week. Okay, let's just say what we're talking about. We're talking about The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia. Okay? Why?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
The Dark Knight again.
Yeah. So that's our main segment. And I've already tried to convince Siobhan what we're going to do in the next episode. We'll talk about that later. Maybe at the end of the episode, we'll come to terms with what the next episode of the series is. But why don't we do this? Why don't we focus on blockbusters that are good? That's my idea. Like, as much as, it'd be fun to watch the summer blockbusters of 2023 as they get released, logistically, I mean, Siobhan, I'm not going to tell you to go watch, Barbie and Oppenheimer right away so we can record a podcast about it. Screw that. There are plenty of other blockbusters that have already been released that we can talk about and shine a light on. Maybe that not necessarily that needs to have a light.
Shine a light on these $300 million grossing movies. Not this $1 billion grossing movie that we're going to talk about today.
Not the way I should have said it, but more like I don't know, like
revisit.
Yeah, thing. Let's revisit.
Honestly, I have massively different opinions about both of these films.
Yeah, the ones for this episode. Yeah. But I guess my point is, let's shine that light back on these movies, okay?
And we're trying to pair them up with what is coming out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Barbie and Oppenheimer makes sense. The way we got to Mamma Mia and Dark Knight is somebody pointed out that Christopher Nolan had done the Barbie and Oppenheimer thing before, where Dark Knight and Mamma Mia came out on the exact same day.
We're going to get more into that here in a bit. But
what was that, 2011?
2008. It's 15 years now coming
Crazy.
up. Yeah.
All right. You continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but hey, that's my point. I think next week we'll hopefully talk about some blockbusters that we want to talk about that are actually good and enjoyable. Let's have a good time on the show is what I'm saying.
Good time. That's what blockbusters are about. Like, hopefully, if you go to one, you don't need to really have deep thinking in blockbusters. Like, that's the nice thing about them is they're popcorn entertainment. Again, the last 15 years have been dominated by one thing, and maybe we have too much popcorn entertainment, and I kind of want more thinking man stuff, such as like a man building a bomb. But
yeah, for 3 hours and some gratuitous sex between two of the stars.
Yeah. What do you think Cillian's going to be doing in there?
I'm going to predict that we see Cillian Murphy's dong in Oppenheimer.
I hope so.
Yeah. And Nolan has said this movie will have all the sex scenes you ever wanted in a Christopher Nolan movie. So
I have been waiting.
Your entire life.
We watch Christopher Nolan movies, and clearly this man is so sexual, but he keeps repressing himself. And finally he's letting that loose.
We should save this for the Dark Knight segment, but I will say The Dark Knight Rises is actually pretty horny.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Some of his movies are a little horny, but not enough sex.
Marion Cotillard is seemingly the only person that he has any interest in making sexual.
And also Anne Hathaway. I mean, come on,
Johansson.
Catwoman. Scarlett Johansson in The Prestige. Yeah, I mean, come on. Okay, but circling back to that MCU thing, I just want to close that loop off. Enough of the MCU. Okay, sure, we're gonna talk about big blockbusters from other studios, but you're not gonna listen to us talk about the MCU on this show. Okay, starting now, no MCU talk.
Now the DCU, we're gonna get into it. But Marcelo, I think before we get into all that talk,
Before we get into all that talk, what's going on?
There's a summer blockbuster that came out this week as we're recording this.
Oh,
it's Wednesday.
It's out
the
now.
12th.
It's out now.
It's out now. You can go see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 starring Tom Cruise. Marcelo, you've seen this film.
I've seen this movie.
I haven't. It just came out today, but Marcelo gets to go to fancy press screenings and shit.
I did go to a press screening last Thursday to see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and I did see it again on Monday of this past week. I've seen it twice now. Good movie.
That's all you got?
Yeah, that's it. Listen.
No, it doesn't continue the Christopher McQuarrie era of Mission Impossible in a dignified way.
It does. I'll say this, and maybe we can talk more once Siobhan has seen it, if Siobhan ever sees it. I don't know if you're going to see this movie or not.
I love these Mission Impossible movies, but I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I can get to this one in a theater. Because I'm planning on that Oppenheimer Barbie double feature, but like Mission Impossible might fall by the wayside for me. I don't know.
It is one of those things where like you have to kind of manage your time with these movies in these next 2 weeks. Yeah. Because, Dead Reckoning, as much as I love it, as much as I want to see it again, that movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
If you're going to an AMC, you're going to be digging out like at least 3 hours of your day just sitting there in a theater.
Here's a specific question I can ask you.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of part ones this year in summer that I have seen in theater. Fast X and Across the Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse, both of them. Fast X, I thought had a very what's the word? Satisfying finale for a part one. I'm excited for more, but I think I got enough of what I needed. Across the Spider-Verse, on the other hand, I felt a little
shortchanged.
Shortchanged maybe, but I was less satisfied with the whole experience of Across the Spider-Verse, the way it ended. So, do you think Dead Reckoning has a satisfying arc to the first film, or do you feel like you really got to see the whole thing when 2 comes out?
I'm glad you brought this up, because I've been thinking about this since watching Dead Reckoning Part 1. I had the same issues with Across the Spider-Verse. I may be in the minority here. I don't think that movie works as well as it should for a 100% movie.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
So it's one of those, like you said, I'm going to wait and see how part 2 goes with Across the Spider-Verse. I guess it's Beyond the Spider-Verse is the next one. And so, I'm waiting on bated breath with that, how that turns out. I liked Fast X. I'm with you. We're in agreement here yet again. I liked how outlandish it was and how it ended, and how it teased or left things open on a giant cliffhanger for the next movie, which I don't know even. That's 2 years from now that we're going to get the next Fast X movie.
God willing.
Yeah, let's hope.
We're only a year off from. I think Spider-Verse is next year, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't want to get into how that to me seems impossible.
Right.
Without getting into people being, worked to death on that movie. Apparently the creatives there are terrible to their workers.
Sounds like it.
But moving on, I think Dead Reckoning Part 1 does a good job of being a movie on its own and then setting up the next chapter. So to answer your question, I think it handles it well. I didn't feel short-shrifted. I felt like I got enough movie. I got enough plot, got enough arcs being wrapped up in Part 1 where I'm like, okay, let's see how things shape up. I can wait 2 years or next year for.
Is it next year?
I think next year for part 2. I don't know. These things we should know.
Does the movie end like every trailer ends, where he jumps off the cliff and it's just before he's supposed to activate the wingsuit or whatever? It just ends right there at the exact same time.
It ends right there. It cuts off. By the way, yeah, next year.
Nothing would make me laugh harder.
June 28th, 2024, which to me seems impossible. Because I think last I heard, Christopher McQuarrie said that they have to, after their PR run, they have to go back and finish Dead Reckoning Part 2. I think they're still filming.
Wow.
Insane. But it does end similarly to, like, I'm pulling this on my ass right now. Sort of think of it like the end of The Two Towers. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. And then Dead Reckoning Part 2 is like the Return of the King, hopefully. You know, get a bunch of Oscars. So yeah, think of it that way. Satisfying. I mean, come on. You can admit, even, that Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers is a satisfying movie on its own, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what's one that's not? Is the Middleborn movie. I don't feel like that's a full movie. I don't like that movie.
Interesting. The Middleborn movie. The Supremacy?
Is that it? It's Identity, Supremacy, Ultimatum.
Ultimatum, yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you want to put that on the docket, Siobhan, of putting that on the movies we have to watch this season, I'm down for watching all 3 Bourne movies, because there are no more Bourne movies after that.
I have still not seen the third one.
I've
seen all the others, but not that one.
Dare I say, I think, from my memory, the third one, Ultimatum, is the best of the bunch.
I believe it.
Yeah. But to answer your question, I don't remember anything about how... I don't know. I don't know. I like Supremacy. I can't think of it as like a half of a movie. So sorry. I'm not with you there.
Apologies. My apologies.
I accept.
No, what's a great one is Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah, that's a good one. And that's definitely more cliffhanger. But it's a good
satisfying one.
Satisfying cliffhanger. Yeah.
And one that people only had to wait 6 months or 9 months or whatever.
Yeah. And that's a great summer movie, Matrix Reloaded. And then the fall movie was Revolutions of that year. Exactly 20 years ago now, 2003.
Crazy.
Speaking of 2003, no, this is 2005. No, you know what? Never mind.
Speaking of 5 years after that.
Speaking of 2003 plus 5. Let's round out this segment because I wrote this down. I try to plan ahead. Have you seen any summer blockbusters of this year, Siobhan? Anything that comes out? Have you been out to the theater?
Let me check my Letterboxd. I'm so sorry for not getting this ahead of time. I'm glad I was not warned of this question.
I did mention before we recorded. These are the segments I wanted to do.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I screwed up.
So,
sure. I went to No Hard Feelings in Asteroid City.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I
fell asleep during Asteroid City, and I left No Hard Feelings early because I had a panic attack. No disrespect to either of those films, but no. And Fast X, I guess, if that counts. And I hope I can get to Insidious because I watched all the films before and I really dig them. So I hope I can get to see my boy Patrick Wilson up there directing a film on the screen, on a big screen. But
it's making money. It made a bunch of money. This past weekend.
Outdid estimates. We're gonna get an Insidious 6, I'm sure.
Yeah. Although I hear that movie is not the best. The new one.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I've heard people rank it low. They say it's... I mean, have we talked about this on another show? I like the first... I love the first 2 Insidious movies. I do. Mm-hmm. Not a big fan of 3 or 4. Barely remember 3. I remember not liking 4 at all. Not too eager to see 5 because of the bad word of mouth I've heard, but I'll see it. I'll support Patrick Wilson.
I dig... The first 2 are great. I think the first 3 are really, really good. 4, I agree with you. I'm less hot on, but it's still got some fun stuff in it. I'm very excited about 5.
Yeah. Maybe we'll come back and talk about 5 if we both see it. The Red Door. Speaking of red doors, let's go through this red door into the next segment. Okay, so we've talked about what we've seen recently, summer blockbusters. Any news out there we want to talk about? The strike? We talked about the strike. We talked about
strike. Killian hanging dong.
Killian, yeah. If you're anticipating Killian hanging dong, We're here to report to you that, yes, there will be nudity in Oppenheimer, apparently. Him and Florence Pugh are going to go at it on screen for several minutes.
We got to... Sorry, go on.
That was it.
Great. The Barbie, relating to Barbie.
Oh, that thing.
I really... Well, if there's a specific thing, I don't know. I was just going to mention... I really dig Ryan Gosling's whole press tour. Vibe. I think it's funny. He's treating it. He's doing a joke out of it, but it doesn't feel like he's being mean-spirited about the joke. He's having fun. I like that.
Yeah, that's the fun thing you wanted to bring up about Barbie. But I have the bad thing I wanted to bring up about Barbie.
What is this? I don't know a bad thing about Barbie.
I don't even know if I can explain it that well. A lot's been going on this week. So on top of like Twitter being basically dead for the most part, and me personal news coming at me fast and furious. I don't know about half the story. But Barbie, the movie, is being banned in certain parts of the world because of how it depicts China on a map in the movie. So it's causing a stir. Right-wing politicians are involved now. I don't know, folks. You do the research. You do the legwork on this. You look up why people are upset about Barbie. So you do that.
I have not heard a lick of this, and this is depressing.
Yeah.
You know what I think sucks here? They're shooting Deadpool 3 currently.
Oh, that's news. Okay.
In the middle of the writer's strike.
Yeah,
which sounds like bullshit. Like
bad.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Like beyond the fact that they're being scabs, I guess. But Deadpool especially, that's a character that needs some rewrites.
Yeah.
In the middle, like I don't like as good as Ryan Reynolds is as that character, and I do genuinely think he's great as that character. Like that's the most pure like use of that Ryan Reynolds shtick. I don't know if he can improv that well through that. Maybe he can. I don't know. But like again, this is a movie that's gonna need rewrites all the way through it, and punch ups and shit.
And we're already breaking our first rule on this show, not talking about the MCU, but we're talking about the MCU now. So Ryan Reynolds...
yeah, we are, aren't we?
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds is a credited co-writer on Deadpool 3.
So he's a scab.
Yeah.
We got that Napoleon trailer. Think that looked amazing.
Napoleon, yeah, looks solid. I saw that trailer before Dead Reckoning Part 1 in IMAX, in legit IMAX theater. Looked cool. I also saw the new Dune Part 2 trailer in IMAX. That looks amazing. Speaking of Part 2s. I mean, this year, it's a hot year for movies. Wouldn't you agree?
This year's a hot year for movies. I do agree.
Okay. Glad we're in agreement. Can we close out this news segment?
Please.
Okay. The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia.
That's what he had to talk about.
Why?
I already explained why.
Oh, yeah. I got more details. I mean, 15 years ago this July. So, July 18th, 2008. Okay? Like Siobhan said, these two movies, The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia, came out on the same day. I mean, around this time, like mid to late July, Nolan always likes to put out a movie. It's his preferred date to release a movie. If you look back at Christopher Nolan's release schedule for all of his movies, they usually fall around between like July 15th and the 20th. Okay,
he's a very blockbuster guy.
Yeah,
and for good reason.
Yeah, he wanted to release Tenet on like July 20th, I think, of 2020, and that did not go as planned. So I think they released it eventually, like in September or something. But yeah, so now he's back this year, mid to late July with Oppenheimer. But 15 years ago, yeah, The Dark Knight came out on July 18th, and another movie that was a counter program, much like Barbie is to Oppenheimer. Mamma Mia came out the same day. And that's what we're here to talk about. Siobhan, I'm going to toss it to you. I want you to start this conversation. The Dark Knight, Mamma Mia. Let me ask you the first question. Wait, how old were you when in 2008? I can't remember how old you are.
Summer 2008, I'd be 12.
You're 12 years old. You're a baby. You're a little baby.
Baby bitch.
Sucking us.
Sucking on the dick.
I was gonna say. Sucking on a milk bottle is what I was gonna say. Were you going out to see movies? I mean, did you? Okay, I'm gonna guess, Mamma Mia, you weren't the first in line to see. Okay,
I was always a movie-going child. My mother took me to a lot of films. I have no recollection. If I usually have like very good like recollection for like movies I saw and where I saw them. I don't know if I saw Dark Knight. I honestly don't think I did. I think I might have saw it at home, and I'm not sure why. I did not see Batman Begins, and I didn't even see that movie until years later. Well after I even saw the third one, Rises.
I was going to say, that was 2005 that Batman Begins came out, I think. So you would have been like 9 years old. When I was 9 years old, I went to go see Star Wars: The Special Edition. That's yeah.
When I was 9 years old, I went to see House of Wax.
Wait, the Paris Hilton one?
The Paris Hilton movie.
Who let you into the House of Wax?
My mother.
Oh boy.
We went to House of Wax.
Oh boy. How was that, by the way? Seeing that early.
I don't know. I was a mature kid. I liked movies. It didn't like freak me out or anything. I was like, I had a good time watching a movie. It's basically all it was.
Oh, okay.
Like,
that's good.
Yeah. The guy at the ticket taking guy definitely was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" to her. But we did do it, and I it's not like I came away scarred from it. And like, I don't know. It depends on the kid, right? Like,
yeah, this is true.
Some kids you gotta keep away from stuff. Some you don't. Like some, like my nephew, he doesn't have a great tolerance for scary stuff, but my niece, she does. So.
You know what? Same with my family on my sister's side. Her daughter, she's been showing horror movies too, basically all her life. All of us went to go see the new Scream movie, or the last two Scream movies, in a theater. Me, my sister, and my niece, her daughter. And my nephew on that side, kind of skittish when it comes to horror movies, but so it goes. But yeah, that's fun. I wish somebody would have taken me to go see movies when I was a kid. I had to go all by myself. So I went to go see The Dark Knight by myself. No, I'm kidding around. I went to go see it with a group of friends.
Or you were 13?
I was in my 20s when The Dark Knight came out. I was going to say that. Early 20s. That's true. I was in my early 20s. I remember seeing The Dark Knight opening night. I sat next to a friend I'm no longer friends with, who was kind of annoying. He was just a friend by association.
He's a bastard.
No, he's fine. I just didn't like him that much.
He's an annoying little fucker.
Okay. I remember him being very much into the movie. Like that whole crowd was. Even I was into it. The Dark Knight.
Oh, I gotta imagine.
Yeah. Come on. Opening night of The Dark Knight. I had this realization yesterday in preparation for this episode. Siobhan, I'm going to imagine that whoever listens to this podcast will either be within our age range or maybe even younger than you. And maybe they don't know about, seeing The Dark Knight in a theater and how big that was. It seems like you have no recollection of it, right? Of the actual experience.
No, and probably at that time, it's probably kind of like almost unprecedented.
Yeah.
I have to imagine. Like, your closest things are like Star Wars and like the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
At that time.
I'm going to try to kind of express how important it was back in the day. I'll see if I can do it. Yeah, Batman Begins was a hit. It was a modest hit in my memory. Big enough to make a sequel. But everybody was just so pumped for this movie. Because they knew that Joker himself, Mr. Jokester,
Mr. Jokester.
That he was going to be the main villain in it.
Were people excited about that?
Yes. Because
I mean, we had Jack Nicholson, right? So he was a popular character.
Yeah. Now, okay, from my memory...
Cesar Romero, of course.
From my memory, people, when they first announced Heath Ledger as the Joker, people were a little wary of it. Or not worried, kind of nervous of,
I was a very online child. I do remember this.
Yeah. And maybe even I was kind of like, that's a weird choice. But of course, as soon as we saw, like, the first promotional photo for it, and I remember there being maybe like a teaser of just hearing his voice as the Joker, then we were all in.
That's so good. Yeah. It's so good what he does with that voice.
And I think, and this kind of all came back flooding into my memory yesterday when I was watching the movie. A lot of people, more people should talk about how important that online campaign was in 2008 for The Dark Knight. I mean, this was, peak internet, like right before Twitter was a thing. And I remember I was just on like message boards or like, chud.com, which that was a real site for like movie news. And of course, back when I didn't know any better, Ain't It Cool?
Ain't It Cool?
Yeah. JoeBlow.com. Like all this bullshit. I was following along with like the online campaign for The Dark Knight, and it would be legitimate like puzzles people would solve and would unlock, promotional photos or like teasers for the movie. No other movie other than like maybe Cloverfield. No other movies did it that well after that. After the Dark Knight and Cloverfield, it was cool. And then around that time, before the movie came out, and as they were promoting it still, Heath Ledger passed away. Yeah. And that was a huge blow. I remember the discussion happening about whether, had he completed all his scenes, like how far along was he in production, which is wrong-headed. I mean, for God's sakes, a man died. But I remember that conversation online. And so it had this weird sort of anticipation in regards to, yes, it's a superhero movie sequel, but also just curiosity. It's like, what is this movie going to be now that like we know that its co-star was apparently so affected by it. I think the news had come out that he passed away like he did, Heath Ledger, by an overdose of this medication that he was taking because he was playing the Joker. And that was on top of everything. So yeah, that was all this craziness happened before the movie came out.
As shitty as it is and as dark as it is, like that fueled a lot of the box office, I imagine.
Yeah, it was part of it.
A not insignificant amount.
Yeah. I tried to look up the other day just how many records it broke in regards to the box office. Couldn't find like a good article that broke it down, but I remember, it had the best opening day of all time, the best opening weekend of all time at that point. Broke a lot of records. It was huge. I mean, this thing was amazing in regards to like its success. And now it's seen as one of the reasons why the Academy, speaking of the Oscars, why the Academy added more slots to the Best Picture category. Because, after it didn't get a nomination for Best Picture, people weren't up in arms. Like, there's no room for The Dark Knight, in the top 5, Oscar nominees for Best Picture. Then I think a year after that, or maybe 2 years after that, they upgraded to 5. No, sorry, from 5 to 10. They did 10 nominees. Anyway, The Dark Knight, yes, it was big back then. I was there. But is it big now? That's the question. So
there's seemingly been some sort of online there is some sort of like online of like very online in like film Twitter circles that like people seemingly kind of dislike the movie, or there's some kind of backlash based around like this kind of started the dark superhero trend or whatever.
Right.
Which I don't know. It's like barely. I mean, it's just like a little darker than like when I was rewatching it. I was like kind of surprised. I didn't think it was that dark. Like it's kind of, it is a silly movie. It feels like a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Just with, it's just kind of humorless, you know, like it's a little dry to me. I'm going to be honest. This revisit, I had not seen the film for probably 10 years.
Wow.
I didn't love the movie. There's stuff I love about it. This was probably one of my favorite movies of all time at the time I first saw it. Blew my tiny little fucking mind. I watched it over and over. There's stuff I love about it. Obviously, everything with Heath Ledger. He's fantastic. The Joker is an amazing character. This is one of the best portrayals of him, one of the best uses of him. And it's in a totally, completely different way than any other Joker I've ever seen.
Yeah.
A lot of the action's cool. A lot of the effects are amazing. Like when the hospital explodes, like,
yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like that's one of the best effects I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Period. But yeah, overall, I thought the movie was a bit dry. The first hour is a lot of just kind of exposition, plot moving forward that I didn't think was all that interesting. And that's probably because it does feel so heavily inspired by like a comic book, where maybe it doesn't excite me at all. The plot they were doing. And there's kind of intermittent scenes that are interesting, but they go by too fast. Fantastic opening, by the way, with the bank robbery and
yeah.
They keep killing each other, all the clowns, and then they have the reveal that the Joker was one of them. It's so good. Yeah. So what were your, how often do you watch this movie? What were your thoughts revisiting it?
I can look up how often I watch it. So I there has been I think a rightful, backlash on this movie.
Okay.
At least
I think it's rightful.
I think partly it's rightful. At least that's what I thought up until seeing it again last night. And I'll get more into that right now as I'm talking, because I'm talking about it right now. So I don't know. I felt for the longest time like it's not as great as I think people have said it is. Okay, yeah, and maybe it is. And I think my hesitation to calling it like a great movie came from the reaction to it. Like similarly to like Fight Club, it's like the wrong people I think love it a bit too much, if that makes sense. So I mean,
there's that meme of the Joker, the "we live in a society" stuff. You've got all those weird Joker memes that are like inspirational quotes, kind of.
Yeah.
Like for dumbasses.
Yeah, it's like people just take. I mean. This is another thing that has kind of always bothered me about the movie. The politics of the movie is weird too. Like I saw somebody tweet about how they won't be surprised if Oppenheimer, the movie, becomes a movie that's like pro-nuclear bomb. Right?
It's a very pro-cop movie.
Yeah. The Dark Knight is. It's a very like pro-Patriot Act movie at the end.
Oh yes, absolutely.
When Batman decides he's going to be the one who has all this power of like observing, everybody in Gotham's like cell phone usage or something, like just to track down the Joker. It's like, I mean, it works out for him, sure, but does one man really need all that power?
They do question it, but
yeah,
then
they do question.
They ultimately come to the conclusion of yeah.
Yeah, yes, he was right.
He did. He needed that. It helped him. He took down the Joker.
So to answer your question earlier, I do watch this almost regularly every year, just about. I saw it 2016. Sorry. So 2012, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, then took a break, 22, 23. So pretty much every year since it came out. And for the last few times I've seen it, I'm like, yeah, it's messy. Politics are weird. The wrong people like it. But I don't know. Seeing it now, okay, you mentioned it earlier, the IMAX opening, or that opening with the Joker, that was filmed in IMAX. That alone is great.
Yeah.
And I'm going to reveal something here. I might be influenced by my recent trip to Chicago. Shout out to Mike Schindler, our mutual friend. He's of Chicago, and when I visited Chicago a few weeks ago, he took me on a tour all around town to various movie theaters and shooting locations, and also Roger Ebert's old movie theater that he and Cisco used to see movies in.
Did you get to sit in the seat?
Yes, I got to sit in the seat where Roger Ebert sat.
That's so good.
And he took me on a little trip around the Dark Knight shooting locations. And I don't know, I think one reason why I like this movie more now is because I appreciate the city of Chicago more, which I know is kind of this shouldn't factor into how much, a movie, in my opinion, is good or not, but I don't care. Nobody makes the rules about how much you like a movie. But I think Nolan shoots Chicago so well for Gotham. It's a beautiful city, and filming that intro with those IMAX cameras, it looks gorgeous still, like 15 years later. And it's kind of insane to me how he sort of pioneered this look of like feature film IMAX, because this movie was the first feature film movie to use the IMAX cameras. He pioneered that. Every other movie that's used IMAX in this way, like in certain scenes, they're just imitating The Dark Knight. Even up until like just this past week, watching Dead Reckoning Part 1, I see the influence of The Dark Knight in that. I'm not going to say how, but it's just there. And so blockbusters from then on, from 2008 onward, have tried to aim for the look of this movie, whether it be IMAX cameras, the feel of it, dark and gritty, or as dark and gritty as like Nolan can get in a comic book movie. Which I think, to your point, Siobhan, it's like this movie's kind of goofy, but it's still pretty gritty. People die. Joker is
goofy,
demonic,
but it's filmed in a pretty flat way. Like,
yeah,
it's not filmed like it is goofy.
Exactly.
Like it's not like the Tim Burton movies or the Joel Schumachers where they acknowledge the goofiness. Yeah. This one's almost trying to shy away from it in ways. Like, it's still kind of funny. There's jokes and stuff in it that made me laugh. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, but I guess my point is, like, I've seen so many other movies try to imitate what this movie ended up being, and like I think Nolan is special in a way of just only he can shoot this movie like he could, if that makes sense. Like Wally Pfister, Hans Zimmer on the score. It's like, and this comes right before he does, in my opinion, his best movie, Inception. So he was on a roll. Like, and then I rewatched Batman Begins. To me, that movie is not great. I think he's still trying to come up with his own, like, sense of style, Nolan. And I think he finally gets it here in The Dark Knight. But yeah, so yeah, I bumped this up from a 4 out of 5 to a 4.5 out of 5 on my scale. So I don't know. I just had this realization, Siobhan, of like, oh yeah, it is as great as its reputation, and I have to admit that. So that's where I'm at with The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I'm there too.
You're there too. 100%.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it very much. I didn't have a great time watching it. Like, weirdly, one of the biggest highlights for me was Eric Roberts.
Yeah,
I'm Ben Falcone.
I'm going to be honest.
That shouldn't be.
Yeah, I know. Like, if we were to do this episode, like, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have said the same thing. Because I like, one of the last times I saw it, I remember like thinking, God, this third act fucking drags. It's like, and also the whole Two-Face thing feels like another movie attached to this movie. It's
weird, right? That he becomes the main character, kind of out of nowhere. Not that he's not a big character before, but like he becomes the main villain of the movie, and like we see Joker get wrapped up, and then that's the last time we see Joker. And like, who knows what Dark Knight Rises would have looked like if Heath Ledger hadn't passed. But it's just weird that like such a compelling villain kind of just is gone, without without that satisfying of an ending.
Yeah, I was with you before.
And the boat shit was so stupid.
Yeah, no, listen, I've always had a problem with the boat stuff. I always feel like that just felt like, you know, a bridge too far when it comes to like this story that they're trying to tell. They could have maybe ended right when Maggie Gyllenhaal gets blowed up, you know, and then maybe had like one more scene with the Joker and that's it, and then save all the Two-Face thing, you know, all the Two-Face stuff for the next movie. But I in my head, I think Nolan was trying to like jam as much as he could in this movie, in case this was the last Batman movie he ever did. That's kind of my theory on like why he structured it this way. It does feel bloated, right? But I don't know, buddy. I just saw, you know, 2 hours and 40 minutes of a Mission Impossible movie that kind of also felt kind of like a bit too much. But I love that movie, and I love this movie in that similar way. I'm like, well, this is kind of like the blockbuster I kind of want this to be re-released, you know, in IMAX, The Dark Knight, and I would buy a ticket for it. I would spend 2 hours and 30 minutes watching this movie in an air-conditioned, you know, giant IMAX theater, and I'd have a good time. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I would like to go back and see this in a theater. I didn't like it really this time, but like I didn't like hate it either. So I'm not like, oh fuck this, like I'm never watching this again. I would really be curious seeing it, the full trilogy, like back. I never loved Batman Begins. I always thought it was kind of weak. And again, I saw it later. I saw it after I saw Dark Knight Rises, and I loved Dark Knight and Rises. At this point, I'm like, I don't know. I want to see Batman Begins again. I want to compare that with Dark Knight, and I think Dark Knight Rises is probably the superior one of the trilogy.
I thought this a few years ago. I might change my mind after seeing Rises, because I've seen Begins this past week. I've seen this, of course, for this episode. I'm going to see Rises before I see Oppenheimer. I've always thought the Dark Knight trilogy is a bad trilogy. And it's because each movie just feels so different from the last. They feel like separate entries. Like I think it's because they're each their own movie. They stand on their own. And visually, they're all different too, and it doesn't connect together that well, in my opinion, from my memory of seeing these three. You know, I think
I agree with you, and
yeah, because like Rises has always been my favorite because it's just so like that's really Nolan going for the fences in terms of like I'm just gonna go goofier, gonna make it a bombastic comic book movie as much as he can. He also makes it a James Bond movie, which he always, you know, manages to fit in his movies. It's just more fun. I think Rises is more fun than the last two, than Begins and Dark Knight. That's my memory of it anyway. I haven't seen it in a few years. Okay. So put yourself in the mindset. Yeah. It's July 18th, 2008. Siobhan and I, we've come out of seeing The Dark Knight. We have our varying opinions on it. All right, I loved it. You were like, it's fine, right? We have our tickets for the next movie. We're doing this. We're doing a double feature. We're walking into, that's right, Mamma Mia.
The movie.
Not stage play.
Mamma Mia the movie is what it's officially called.
Mamma Mia, the movie. Also released July 18th, 2008. Directed by Phyllida Lloyd. Screenplay by Katherine Johnson. Starring Meryl Streep, Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth, Stellan Skarsgård, Dominic Cooper, Julie Waters, Christine Baranski, Amanda Seyfried. We didn't go through the cast of The Dark Knight. Everybody knows who's in The Dark Knight. Yeah, Christian Bale and everybody else. Okay, Mamma Mia. You're saying something, Siobhan? I interrupted you.
So at the time, I would have pushed against it. Okay, not totally. Like I was open minded, but like I was like, oh, this is girly or whatever.
Yeah,
as if I wouldn't, I'm trying too hard. And in my head, I never liked Mamma Mia really. I had seen it, and Oh, and and that last one, Here We Go Again. I thought it was pretty fun, but like I didn't love it. But like I got to be honest, watching this last night with my mother, I had a fucking ball, man. I had an amazing time. I was embroiled by I thought the daughter-father story was really fun to follow. I thought the musical performances were just lovely. Meryl Streep is out of this world great. Like, holy shit. She didn't get nominated for this one, did she?
I don't think so. I'll look up.
Of all the nominations she's had, and she can put in something like this and not get it. Like, that's wild. 0
Academy Award nominations, by the way.
That's wild. It's such... I would have given it like maybe a production design or something like that as well.
Yeah.
I have a few issues with it, but like they pale in comparison to like just how much fun I had, you know? It blew me away. I always, in my memory, I thought of it as kind of like a corny movie that I didn't like very much. And now, like, yeah, it's corny as shit. And I am, at this time in my life, I embrace that corniness. I like that corniness.
I mean, hey, buddy, we did a few episodes on a movie called Southland Tales that some would say is corny.
Oh, God, it's corny as hell.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think we are the right people here to discuss Mamma Mia, because I also loved it, rewatching it last night. This is exactly how I want to do this double feature, is watch The Dark Knight first. I just witnessed Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face, point a gun at a kid and then shoot Batman point blank. That just happened. Like, whoops, that just happened. And then take a break and then watch Mamma Mia and then have like the best time of your life.
That's what everybody's saying. Like, go to Oppenheimer, then go to Barbie.
Yeah.
Like take in that darkness, take in that fucked up morality of that film, and then let it kind of melt away. Go have some fun.
And also, I'm not sure how, I kind of want Barbie to be sort of more, or at least I'm guessing the movie might be more existential than what we were maybe led to believe. Like, sure, it'll be filled with pink and colorful.
I agree with you.
Light moments.
Greta Gerwig's the better filmmaker than just making. You know what? I don't know. I think it'll be a smart movie.
Yeah. You know what?
I don't think it's just going to be dumb bubblegum pop, but
I think we can agree.
I would like it either way.
Exactly. I think we can agree it'll be fun. Right?
Yeah. I agree.
Almost as much fun as I want Barbie to be as much fun as Mamma Mia is. Mamma Mia is fun. Mamma Mia is a good time.
Mamma Mia is fun.
Mamma Mia is fun.
Okay.
Do you have any connection to the band ABBA?
Other than just me liking their music, no. But I do enjoy their music a lot. Like, Dancing Queen is like one of the best pop songs of all time. You put that on, nobody's having a bad time.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the few songs that could probably get me moving, and I fucking hate dancing.
Yeah.
I'm such a little dork in my head about it. Maybe my favorite ABBA song is not in this film, unfortunately.
What's your favorite ABBA song?
Fernando.
Oh, yeah.
But that didn't matter. And you know what? There's some weird choices. Like, I don't know anything about like half of the songs in this film. Something you want to know? You want to know something interesting, Marcelo?
Yeah, I do.
Class trip to New York City, 13 or 14.
Yeah.
We saw Mamma Mia.
The movie or the play?
The stage play.
Oh.
On Broadway.
Okay. I didn't know this.
I've seen the Broadway musical.
Wow. Tell me everything about it in detail.
I don't remember anything about it.
Okay, come on.
I'm not joking. I don't remember being there. I remember being upset that, like, I wanted to go to Phantom of the Opera, and I think a majority of the class voted to go to Phantom of the Opera, but the teachers didn't want it, so we went to Mamma Mia.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's a shame you don't remember anything about that stage play, musical. After rewatching Mamma Mia last night, I looked up details on the musical. I would love to see it. I don't know if it's a touring thing or anything. I don't know if they still have it anywhere in the world, but I'd be interested in that because I think. And let's get into the actual movie. And sure. By the way, ABBA. I didn't realize I was a big ABBA fan until watching Mamma Mia and Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. It's a reminder of how great those songs are.
Their songs are infectious.
Yes,
they're infectious. I've got a ton on my playlist, and when they come on, they're usually not skipped.
But this movie, let's get into the movie. Okay.
Hold on. What'd you think of it at the time? Were you into it at the time, or did you not see it?
Here's a reveal. I did not see it until 2 years ago. So gotcha. Yeah, it's a movie, and let's get into it. Okay, it's not like we're already not into it. Let's get into it first.
Amanda Seyfried, she's getting married in Greece.
Yeah.
She doesn't know who her father is. She wants to meet her father. She wants her father there for the wedding, so she invites Pierce Brosnan, one of the hottest men to ever live, suave as fuck. Colin Firth, very charming man, great actor, and Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, the most evil man who's ever been born.
Lars Van Trier's go-to guy.
The killer in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
But yeah, they're brought there to be. They are the three people that it could be her father, and she wants to bring them all there and try to figure out who her real father is, so they can give her away on her wedding day. Yeah.
Now the plot to this, let's go back 15 years. It didn't it didn't entice me. It didn't attract my interest. I was just a dude who was in his early 20s.
You're a guy being a dude.
I'm a guy being a dude. I don't care about musicals at this point in my life, back 15 years ago. And since then, I made new, better friends who've opened my eyes to certain things, including musicals. Have a friend who basically gave me a list of musicals I should watch. On that list was Mamma Mia, and also on that list was other musicals I hadn't seen and just missed out on, including Little Shop of Horrors, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and I forget the rest. I also hadn't seen Rent. She loved Rent, so I had to watch Rent. Rent is good.
That movie's not good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. But hey, Hedwig was amazing. I saw that for the first time 2 years ago. This was amazing. I saw it for the first time 2 years ago because of this list. I'll say this. I wish I'd seen this in a theater. Maybe, my life would have been on a different path, a better path, 15 years ago. But I'm glad I finally came around to it, now in my age, So saw it for the first time 2 years ago. Saw it again for this show for a second time, and loved it even more. The story, you can't poke a hole in this because it's just so ridiculous.
It is its own hole.
Yeah, it is.
It is just a hole.
Nobody would do this in real life. Nobody would invite three men who they think is their father to their wedding.
Maybe you go to Meryl Streep and just say, "Hey, Mom, I'm sorry. I read your diary. Do you know which one of these three men might be my father?"
Yeah, let's have a conversation about it. Rather than surprising her with these three men who she hadn't seen in 20 years.
I know.
But it's fun, for God's sakes.
So fun.
They're on a Greek island, and
I will say this.
Yeah.
The movie, the location, the musical numbers, they are beautiful, but I think the way it's filmed is a little flat. The color tones, I wish they popped more. It's pretty gray for some reason.
Yeah, I'll say that to. I do like when they shot on location, and you can definitely tell they shot.
They are there
on a real boat and whatever. But to that point about it feeling flat, I don't think it helps when they shoot on sets and you can tell it's on a set, because they shot half of this on the famous 007 studios. The Pinewood? I forget. I'll look it up. But I don't know. Some of the on-set stuff looks, a bit too fake for me. Pinewood Studios, I was right. Other than that, I don't know. I kind of see your point about the color palette. It could pop more. But gosh,
it's the one bummer I have.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's the one thing. I get it, but everything else just pops. Like famously, like Colin Firth and the cast. Like, I think a big reason why they did this movie is just to, just for a trip, out to these Greek islands just to shoot, this movie.
It's like an Adam Sandler movie. Just want to go on a vacation.
Yeah, yeah. But you can definitely tell they're having fun. Colin Firth is having fun. Brosnan is having fun. Stellan Skarsgård is having fun. I don't think I've ever seen Stellan Skarsgård laugh, except for this movie. And also, like, going back to your Meryl Streep point, she's amazing in this. It's like, cause like she's always committed to every character she plays. She's fully committed to this. And so is Seyfried with her giant eyes. It's like I think.
Yeah, she's wonderful too.
Yeah, if it were different casts, people just didn't give a shit. Which I've seen musicals of people who just don't give a shit. Who don't put in their all into it. And these may not be the best singers, but who cares? I think
Meryl's great.
I think I'm partly tone deaf, so I don't care. That chemistry of the characters and the way that they're just so involved in it. It's refreshing.
Best singers, like late in the movie when when Pierce Brosnan has to sing, like no. but yeah.
What else can we say about this? Okay, the song choices. One thing I was like, this is why I looked into the musical, doing some research, and I say research. I just looked at the Wikipedia page of the musical. I'm just so fascinated with how the writer of this, who also wrote, I think, the book of the musical, Katherine Johnson. It's like, yes, let's create an original story, just based around pre-existing ABBA songs, and it works. I mean, some of it may be a little the tangent in which it plays into the story. Sometimes, it doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? But I think for the most part, like, I think my favorite two moments where it like really works, where like they're singing these ABBA songs in this movie, and it works in regards to like plot and character, are like when Meryl is putting her daughter in that wedding dress, and they sing that song about being a parent. That was incredible. Like, that's an effective moment that got me right in the heart, and perfect use of that song. The performance is everything. Then right after that, the song where Meryl sings to Brosnan, like right next to that little island. I forget the name of that song, but that one's good too. Winner Takes It All. So Slipping Through My Fingers is the one with her and her daughter, and The Winner Takes It All is the one right after that, where Meryl belts out her feelings to Pierce Brosnan. Those two songs, those two moments, those two scenes, incredible. It bumped the movie up for me. I love this movie, because where else am I going to get like that emotional impact? Batman certainly didn't give it to me. The Dark Knight, it was all gloom and doom. All I said was, hey, that Joker guy needs to be stopped. That's it. That's all the emotion I got from it.
Maggie Gyllenhaal gets blown up by a room full of explosives.
Yeah, but I don't feel it now. I feel bad for Batman in a certain way, but when you get Meryl Streep singing to her, fake daughter while singing "Slipping Through My Fingers," that's great. Winner Takes It All, just her singing, and Pierce Brosnan saying, "I don't want to talk because it makes me feel bad." That's great. That's movie magic.
I don't know what song it is, but the one where Meryl's kind of just on the rooftop singing, like right after all the three guys show up, and she's surprised and kind of happy to see them, and she's like going through her emotions. I loved her performance during that song where she's jumping on the bed,
I think that might be Mamma Mia. I think that might be the titular
Is it Mamma
song.
Mia?
Right.
Well, I was going to say there's some like really fun filming moments like that, like creative stuff, very well filmed, where she's jumping on the bed and it looks like she's jumping fucking 10 feet high. And then when she's on the rooftop above the guys, there's a really fun little moment I liked where it suddenly cuts to a shot of the three guys in their room and the shot's upside down and you have no idea why this is happening and it just looks weird. And then suddenly they cut to her in the window and she's like peeking into the window upside down. And it's just like, I thought that was so funny and cute. Like there's so many creative moments in this.
Yeah. And it plays into something, I mean, I'm still like a novice when it comes to musicals, but something that I think I'm attracted to with certain musicals is how like each song, each performance, like in the musical should be different. Like it shouldn't feel repetitive. And I think this movie does a good job of like, mixing it up in regards to like everybody gets a song basically. Like everybody gets to sing. You know, it's not just Meryl or Amanda Seyfried who sings. Everybody gets a song, and including Kristen Baranski, who gets her own song, which kind of feels like out of place. Like what is this? How does this service the plot? But who cares? Like it's that song where she sings that to that one guy. She like he's too young. I forget the name of that song. Does your mother know? I think that's the song. Anyway, I like that. I mean, what else can we say? I mean, Siobhan, what else can we say about Mamma Mia? I think we need to give Mamma Mia more time.
Do you really? I think we've said it all. It's just a delight. I think we've said it's creative, it's fun, we have a great time watching it.
I think what we need is maybe another person to give insight here, and I have that. So this is unprecedented.
Oh, I have no clue what's going on here. I'm scared.
Exactly. I'm surprising Siobhan with this. So it just so happens, and I felt like this is crucial here to bring up. I mentioned in the Dark Knight segments, I went to Chicago. I explored the city and
Chi-Town. You saw the Big Bean. Windy City. Yeah,
the Windy City. Untouchables. I was there. I saw the shooting locations. I kind of sort of felt like I had a not personal, but like I felt connected to the Dark Knight. It just so happened somebody who I know has a connection to Mamma Mia. I don't know how else to say this, but my girlfriend went to Sweden.
You GF.
Last month. My girlfriend went to Sweden last month, and she went through something that I think people on this show, who listen to the show, would find interesting. She has her own connection with Mamma Mia. I'm going to let her explain it.
What's this? What is this? What's going on here?
By me playing a clip of some audio she sent in.
Great. I love it.
So setting this up, I asked her to give me some insight on Mamma Mia. Because like I said, she went to Sweden. She actually went to a Mamma Mia sing-along in Sweden. She went to the ABBA Museum in Sweden.
Wow.
She did see the stage show of Mamma Mia. So I was like, just send me a voice memo of all your insight on this, and here it is. I'm going to play it. Here is Elise, my girlfriend. I did not force her to send this. I just told her if she wanted to, she can send this in.
Weird if you forced her.
Yeah, no. Not going to force anybody to do anything, especially be on a podcast. So here it is. I'm going to play it. She has approved this to be played on the show, so here it is. So here is Elise discussing her connection with Mamma Mia.
Been an ABBA fan since I was little. I loved the song Dancing Queen. It was my favorite songs when I was truly tiny. My dad loves ABBA, or ABBA. Most Americans say ABBA. The Swedes say ABBA. Who knows? My dad loved them. My mom hated them. And in fact, it embarrasses my mother, or it did for a long time, that in the 70s, my dad's favorite band was ABBA. While she was listening to like cool music, he was jamming out to Dancing Queen. By no means were they considered cool. They were like goofy pop. Most, cool 70s people looked down upon them, but my dad loved them. And I doubt you remember, there was this group called A-Teens in the late 90s, early aughts, and they did ABBA covers, and that's how I first heard Dancing Queen as like a teen. I'd heard it as a kid, and then I got into it as a teen, and then my dad and I bonded over that, and then I started listening to other ABBA, and then Mamma Mia came along, and my mom did not want to go see this show. My dad was gunning hard for it, and in fact, when we all went to London when I think I was about 12, my dad wanted to see Mamma Mia. My mom was like, absolutely not. I hate ABBA. We're not doing that. That sounds dumb. And instead we went and saw The Lion King, which my dad was horrified that we had to go see some Disney musical. And then he loved it because The Lion King is the only decent Disney Broadway musical because it was directed by Julie Taymor. So we go and see Mamma Mia. I think we ended up seeing both because I saw Mamma Mia as a kid, and I think I saw it in the West End or possibly a professional touring company. I have seen it live before the movie came out. So I was a big fan. I loved it. I loved both the original versions of the songs and the Mamma Mia versions. And then the movie came out. I think I was a senior in high school because I think it came out in 2008. And I did not like it. I thought they picked bad singers. They picked stars instead of good performers, which is always what's wrong with musical movies of late. They pick actors, not singers. And they pick famous people. I especially was offended by Pierce Brosnan and his goose honk of a singing voice. I also, even though I love Colin Firth to death, it annoyed me that he couldn't sing. I didn't even really think Meryl was that good of a singer. I thought it was auto-tuned to death. And I thought it was cheesy and didn't represent the musical that I loved. So I stuck my nose in the air about that until the lead up to the sequel. My two really good friends in New York, Gianna and Danielle, they loved the '08 Mamma Mia. And I sort of was like, all right, I was 18 when that came out. They were like 15, so they weren't as sophisticated as me. And they hadn't seen the stage show. This was all bullshit. I was just a pretentious teen. And I rewatched it, and I rewatched it with them because we would always listen to ABBA together. And so I finally watched that movie with them in the lead up. Because I was like, Gianna has snooty taste in movies. Surely this is better than I remember. And it was. It still does come to a screeching halt when Pierce Brosnan starts singing because he's presented as a good singer. Well, or he's presented as this hot, romantic, dreamy lead. And then he just honks. And it's painful. But like with Colin Firth, it's like if your like sweet uncle pulled out a guitar and started singing, you wouldn't expect him to be good. So it's fine that Colin Firth can't sing. Meryl's better than I gave her credit for. So is Amanda Seyfried. None of them can sing like the people on the stage show except Christine Baranski because she is a Broadway person. But yeah, it really is charming and lovely and fun. And up until Pierce screaming on the side of a mountain, it's good. And then that sucks a little bit, but then it's good again. And this most recent time, which I will talk about in a minute, I wept during Slipping Through My Fingers all the time, Meryl's big sort of sentimental mother song she sings. But yeah, so I came around on the first one, and then Danielle, Gianna, and I went and saw Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which, sidebar, there has never and there will never be a better titled sequel than Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Remember when those movies, Now You See Me, then they made a sequel and they didn't call the sequel Now You Don't, which was just stupid. They called it Now You See Me Too, which someone should be fired for that choice. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again makes up for that and every other poorly titled film and film sequel ever made because it's perfect. And that movie rules. It's kind of a masterpiece. I think it's better than the first. I think its structure is genius. It's The Godfather Part 2. And I believe it is mostly down to, the main actress, what's her name? Cinderella. I can't think of her name. Her. She's insane. She's so good. The fact that she's playing a young Meryl and she has to perform these ridiculous songs like And Then I Kissed the Teacher, which, is such a gross song. It's sung by a man originally, so yikes. So is Does Your Mother Know, also sung by a man originally in the ABBA days. Very smart that they gender swapped those two things. Lily James, that's her name. She's I don't know why people call Jennifer Lawrence our last movie star. I think it's her. She has the most appealing presence. She's so charming. She's so winning. She's a beautiful voice. And she sells it that she's a young Meryl Streep, even though the years don't line up, because it's clearly the 70s in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. They say that 10 years has passed since the first movie, which presumably took place in '08, and that it makes no goddamn sense. But whatever, we don't care. It all is fine, because it's supposed to be the 70s, because ABBA, that was their heyday. Anyway, sequel's brilliant. That's when I totally turned around on the films. And then, as you mentioned, I went and saw Mamma Mia, the first one, as a sing-along in Stockholm, Sweden, at the Capitol Theater, with exclusively Swedes. If your listeners are not aware, ABBA are Swedish. It was really super fun. I thought it was going to be touristy. I was the only English speaker there. This lovely young woman came out dressed as Meryl in the overalls with a mic. All of a sudden, people are standing up and we're doing vocal warm-ups in Swedish, and I'm just smiling like an idiot, and they start doing head and shoulders, knees and toes in Swedish. I just took a video because I don't know the words. And then people belted along with Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again at this gorgeous theater that's like chic and classy with plush blue velvet chairs and lamps. It's this like sexy vibe. And we went to this deeply unsexy thing, a Mamma Mia sing-along. But that was incredible. I also went to the ABBA Museum while I was in Stockholm. Highly recommend. It's a damn good time. Not only is it about ABBA as a group, it's also about their careers post their years as ABBA. And of course, there's this giant sign when you're entering the section of the museum post their ABBA days that says, "Breaking up is never easy, I know," which is a line from an ABBA song. And so there's a section on the musicals that Benny and Bjorn, the two guys, wrote. And they were involved in the Mamma Mia musical, the huge hit that was, first on the West End and then on Broadway. But they also had the musical Chess, which I was in high school. It's insane. The music is great. You might know one song from it. "One night in Bangkok and the world's your oyster." That is from Chess. It was a concept album first, in the vein of Jesus Christ Superstar, and then they made it a musical. The plot is incomprehensible. It's about chess champions facing off, and chess becomes a metaphor for the Cold War. And a bunch of freaking high schoolers did it. It was embarrassing. We also were all doing bad Russian accents. I hope no footage of that exists, but I'm sure it does. Anyway, the museum's really fun. It's really goofy. They have this big, ridiculous giant screen showing their Eurovision Song Contest performance from 74 or something, where they won with Waterloo, launched their careers. Yeah, the Swedes love them some ABBA. They're very proud. They're very proud of their music, their pop music sort of dynasty in Sweden. They've won Eurovision the most. They have all these songwriters. Like, basically every song Britney Spears and the Backstreet Boys ever sang was written by a Swedish pop songwriter. So that's kind of Sweden's whole deal with ABBA. Yeah, so that's kind of like my history with Mamma Mia and ABBA. It's cheeseball. It has always been cheeseball. It's never been cool. Like in the 70s, my mom thinking it lame that my dad loved ABBA. It's still not cool. It's still something earnest and goofy and dorky, and that is what's so fun about Mamma Mia, and that is why it was so lame that I thought myself above the original Mamma Mia movie when I was 18. But I have come around. I have come to understand that we are not here for high art. We are here for a goddamn good time and maybe some art, stuffed in there for funsies. Yeah, I love ABBA. I love Mamma Mia. It's amazing. It's better than The Dark Knight. Take that to the bank. Bye.
And there you go. So thank you to Elise.
Thank you, Elise.
My girlfriend.
That was great.
But yeah, so there we go. Mamma Mia. She also did mention Pierce Brosnan and that not the best singer. I think she agreed on some of our points. She did mention at the end, she did say Mamma Mia better than The Dark Knight. So I think, Siobhan, you and her have that in common.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Elise.
Yeah. I would say, here's my hot take on this. I'd say they're equally good. I'm going to basically be a coward and say The Dark Knight, Mamma Mia, equally good movies in their own way. So there you go. Before we wrap this up, Well, any last words on these two movies? Siobhan, do you recommend people at home do what we just did? Watch The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia back to back.
You know, you could do it. It's not. I think it doesn't have to be Dark Knight, but I think cleansing your palate after kind of a downer movie with Mamma Mia, that's not the worst idea in the world.
Yeah, I agree. If you were to do it this way. Watch a bummer of a movie like The Dark Knight, and then wrap it up with Mamma Mia. And sorry, you go first.
I mentioned Lars von Trier. Go watch The House That Jack Built or Antichrist.
Or Nymphomaniac.
Nymphomaniac. There you go. There's where you're going to get your Stellan.
That's a double feature. Nymphomaniac and Mamma Mia. Wow.
Well, that's a triple feature.
That's right.
Nymphomaniac Part 1, Nymphomaniac Part 2, and then Mamma Mia. You know, cleanse the palate. Go to bed happy.
Yeah. I want to also say that that ending of Mamma Mia, where Meryl and her friends, just dance and sing to the audience, then they keep singing through the credits. That's incredible. Apparently, they also do that.
and they did the encore too.
Yes, they do the encore too.
That was so fun.
Apparently, they do that. They did that on stage. At the musical too. They have like that same encore thing, which is cool. Anyway, great movies. I think Mamma Mia may be the better one if you ask some people, but I think they're both equally good. Before we wrap this up, though, let's play a game. Siobhan also doesn't know about this.
Do you want to play a game?
Do you want to play? No, he's not here. He's not here. Not today.
That's another thing.
That's another thing. We're going to play the box office game. That's right. I have the numbers. Siobhan has to guess, without going over, what these numbers are. So let's go The Dark Knight first. Domestic opening. What is your guess? Domestic opening. The opening weekend. How much money did The Dark Knight make opening weekend?
That is so tough.
Domestically.
Because I know the final tally is like just over $1 billion. I already know that.
Right.
Opening, I don't know. Because this is 2008. It's not...
Yeah.
I doubt it was super front-loaded like how superhero things are now, where it made $300 million in one weekend and then, trails off. I bet this was one that... just shut up. I bet this was one that had a very big opening, but had long legs. Like, it wasn't massive. I think it was just like, it was around for a while. So I'm going to go... I like 120. I like the sound of 120.
You know what? You didn't go over, so you win.
Okay.
It was 158.
150. Okay.
Yeah, $1 million. I was going to give you a hint. I was going to say this was the biggest opening of any movie until The Dark Knight Rises and The Avengers opened in 2012. So it held the title for 4 years.
I think that's a title that like Spider-Man 2 had, and I want to say Fast and Furious 4 also had that title for a little bit.
Maybe not 4, because 4 wasn't a big hit.
I think it was 4, but I don't know. I might be crazy.
Yeah, I'm not going to call you that, but sure. I think you're crazy. Domestic opening.
I might be as twisted as the Joker.
Domestic opening for Mamma Mia. Remember, they came out on the same day.
Significantly harder. I have no idea.
I'll give you a hint. So this was a record holder for the highest grossing opening weekend for a movie based on a Broadway musical, surpassing Hairspray, but later this was surpassed by Into the Woods. So it did break a record, Mamma Mia.
Into the Woods beat it? Oh, yeah, man, I don't remember
for
Into the Woods being huge.
For domestic opening, at least.
60.
Ooh, buddy, you went over. It was $27 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what was Into the Woods? Like 40?
Oh, I didn't look that up. Who cares?
Okay.
But Mamma Mia was a huge hit. Worldwide, I mean, do you want to guess the worldwide for Mamma Mia? I mean, you already know Dark Knight. Dark Knight was $1 billion.
250.
Worldwide?
Yeah.
Buddy, you are way off. It made $694 million worldwide.
God diggity darn.
It was a hit. I think
Why did it take 10 years to make a sequel?
Yeah. Hey, they wanted to wait, and they released a masterpiece in that sequel. But I read a crazy fact that said in the UK, apparently this was huge in the UK. So much so that 1 out of every 4 households in the UK owns a physical copy of Mamma Mia. Apparently.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. Mamma Mia and The Dark Knight. Siobhan, we did it.
We did it.
This is it. That's first episode done. I think we covered it all. I think we talked about summer movies. We talked about The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia. So what are we going to do next week?
That was a fun time. Yeah. What's the film? What's the big release the week after Barbieheimer?
It's going to be The Haunted Mansion, or I should say Haunted Mansion.
The Haunted Mansion.
No, Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion was a movie starring Eddie Murphy. Haunted Mansion is a movie starring all those new people. Danny DeVito. Owen
those
Wilson.
new up and coming kids. Danny DeVito.
Is it Owen Wilson or Luke Wilson? I always get them confused.
There's no Wilson in that movie? Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to look it up right now. So anyway, hey, listen, all cards on the table. Okay. I texted this to Siobhan. By the way, Owen Wilson is in Haunted Mansion, the new one. Also, Lakeith Stanfield, Tiffany Haddish, Rosario Dawson, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Jared Leto.
Yes! Yes, baby! Let's go! I like that Lakeith Stanfield. He's a great actor. Been a while since I saw him, I think. But let's say this is a movie based on a ride at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion.
I'm with you so far.
So, Marcelo, do you want me to say what we're doing? I don't know what your plan is here.
I want you to say what I texted you earlier.
We are going to cover some films that are also based on rides at Disneyland. What are our options? We have The Haunted Mansion. We have Jungle Cruise. But we're going to go with the most famous, inarguably.
Yeah.
The Pirates of the Caribbean Gore Verbinski trilogy. We're doing the first 3 films.
Yeah.
We're going to cover those next week.
Now, I mentioned this earlier. I wanted to kind of shine a light back on these movies after them making billions of dollars. I'm interested in revisiting and talking about not only Pirates, the first one of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I really want to discuss and open up a box, the Pandora's boxes we always like to open up. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about those sequels.
Well, you want to open up the Dead Man's Chest.
Exactly. I want to open up Dead Man's Chest, and then I want to go to At World's End. Okay? I want to know if those hold up. I want to know if I'm wrong about me liking those movies a lot. And I got stories to tell. I was very much into these movies back in the day.
Well, I'm just going to give a little hint. I watched all 5 Pirates movies for the first time last year. I am not upset at having to watch these again.
Okay, there you go. That's a tease. So, yeah, next week we're going to watch 3 Pirates movies. I don't know who stars in them. We'll figure that out next week. I don't know who the lead is. We'll talk about it next week. All right. Siobhan, plugs?
No. Yeah, you can follow me at Junkblader. You can go to if you're on Blue Sky, junkblader.bsky.social. I think it's Junkblader. You'll find it by searching Junkblader.
Yeah, something like that.
And that's all I got, I guess. I mean, I've got something else I'm not going to bring up. I don't want to. I don't need to do that here.
Tease. You're a tease. As for me, talkfilmsociety.com, patreon.com/talkfilmsociety. We have commentaries over there. We might do more. We might do a lot more later on this year. Or we might do less. Or we might not do any at all. Who knows? Tune in to find out, to the Patreon. And you listen to all the other shows on the network. Our good friend, Thomas Mariani, he has a new show that we're hosting on Talk Film Society, Cinema to the Letter.
Cinema to the Letter, CINEMA.
Not to tease it, but I might be on a future episode. We'll see, though.
Oh, wow. I have not been invited.
I probably should not have said that. But who knows? Maybe those plans will fall through, and I won't be on that show. Tune into that show to find out. Go to talkfilmsociety.com/DEDB or talkfilmsociety.com/cinema to the letter to find out, because those are the links you'll use to get to that show. So I'm giving.
Listen to. Hey, we're going to be listening to Thomas Mariani's podcast. Listen to our old podcast, okay?
Yeah.
Talkfilmsociety.com/Southland Tales. We talk about the movie Southland Tales to an extreme degree. We get so in depth.
Yeah.
And we've had some amazing guests. Vera Drew, Rue and Carol, both part of the People's Choker. Alec Robbins, also part of the People's Choker. Some other guys. Oh, Thomas Mariani. We've had that motherfucker on. So if you like him, come listen to our shit.
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
Yeah. And that's it. Listen to all that. Follow us. Follow Talk Film Society. Talk Film Society, by the way, is on Twitter still. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Threads, begrudgingly.
Oh God! I'm not doing Threads, man. Nobody get on Threads.
Threads is bad, but I made an account. We're on there. Yeah, I don't recommend it, but if push comes to shove, we'll push there more. But I don't want to. Don't make me. You know what? Don't follow us on Threads. Don't follow Talk Film Society on Threads. Follow us on Blue Sky or Twitter for now. That's it. As always, we'd like to say this catchphrase at the end of all of our shows. Hey, folks. Let's say it together, Siobhan. Hey, folks.
Oh, hey, folks.
We'll see you at the movies.
We'll see you at the movies.
Nope.
I never say that.
We don't say that. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.